What makes the building sing?
Hello and welcome to Grandstand Hockey. Thanks for your company. I'm Martin Cudahy, and joining me as usual, our experts commentator Andrew McDonald. And Maker, I'm excited. Semi-finals time.
Yes, good afternoon, Martin. Good afternoon, everyone. Should be a great game today. The top two teams, Derwent versus Northwest Grads. We already know from earlier today that OHA eliminated University from the finals race. They beat them 3-1, and now into the top two. The loser of today's game gets an opportunity of playing against OHA next week, and the winner, well, they have a week off and they're straight into the grand final. So, very important game today for both teams.
And you'd think that Northwest Grads probably would prefer to have that week off if they can get a win today?
Well, I think they've got the question mark about Northwest Grads at the moment is the niggles. There's some question mark about Marcus Richardson and a medial sort of bit of a slight sort of strain there. Nick Budgeon hurt his ankle during the week, and so I think they're sort of limping into today's game. And so, you know, if they were able to win today and have a week's break, gee, to put them in good place for the grand final.
Absolutely, and it's also interesting in the fact that we might have some pretty big names in hockey down here at the Tasmanian Hockey Centre. Will they, won't they? Matthew Wells, Eddie Ockenden?
Well, it's been like that all the last couple of days since Eddie arrived into the airport and had the media scrum all over him. And Matthew Wells, he was all in the media yesterday, and they're both saying they might not play. And well, what we can do is we can tell you, everyone, that Matthew Wells will be playing for Derwent, but Eddie Ockenden, well, he's not having a play today. I think he's going to have a bit of a rest.
Well, there you have it. Let's take a look at some of the top goal scorers this afternoon and get straight into this afternoon's action. Jeffrey Cock, leading goal scorer. He is a man on fire this season.
Well, isn't it amazing to think that someone could score 56 goals in a game? I mean, it's almost like Buddy Franklin being able to kick 100 goals today as well. But, you know, it's fantastic performance from Jeffrey Cock. And interesting stat there is that if you look at Richard Headlam, Marcus Richardson and Toby West, if you add them all together, they still don't even quite reach Jeffrey Cock. So he's a one-man machine at the moment. And if he's on form today and converts a lot of his penalty corners, I think Northwest Grads are in for a bit of a bad day.
Well, that's right. Matthew Wells at the back for Derwent will be trying to stop those three players that you mentioned. So let's take a look at how they line up this afternoon. Derwent, as we mentioned, there he is, Jeffrey Cock, and also Tim Deven and Luke Austin, a couple of midfielders there.
Well, I mean, we speak a lot about Jeffrey Cock and Tim Deven, and I think what we have seen over the last couple of weeks, Luke Austin was away a couple of weeks ago when we watched Derwent play, and look, I think they really missed him. And Alistair Addison, he's back. There's no doubt that Nick Tremaine really is he's basically the glue of the team. He's the person in the middle who's the conduit. They pass the ball through him. And I think it's a good move from Coach Glenn Freeman to say to Matthew Wells, look, we're not going to start you. We're pretty confident with the group we've got, but you know, it's also going to lift the Derwent players if it be that Matthew Wells does come onto the field.
Absolutely, just the fact that he's there and you know he can come on. Let's have a look at Northwest Grads as well. Park, Headlam, some of those guys, they're pretty handy too.
Yeah, I think Richard Headlam needs to improve. I mean, we saw a minute ago that he's got a few goals throughout the year. Marcus Richardson, we wonder about him, and he needs to basically be at his best today if it is that they're going to progress through to the grand final. But the man there that's really played consistently all year has been number 20, Warren Lucas, and he's been a great player for Northwest Grads, and you expect today that if he doesn't perform at his best, it's a bad day for Northwest Grads.
And Eddie Ockenden named on the bench, so perhaps a few ducks and drakes there, but that remains to be seen. For what's happening on the sideline, let's head down now to Angie Ockenden.
Hello and welcome to you. It's a beautiful day for hockey, and these two teams always give us such a fantastic game, and I don't think we're going to be disappointed today. I think Derwent are going to be too strong. I spoke to Glenn Freeman just a few minutes ago. He tells me that 15 minutes ago he made the decision that Matthew Wells would be playing. There is a bit of an injury cloud over Stuart Webb. He has a tendon problem in his foot, and Greg Bent is being rested because he has a tendon problem in his shoulder. So when when Matthew was obviously in town, he took advantage of that. So I don't think Derwent are going to struggle too much in the defensive arena, and I think up front, as you say, they're just too strong. Northwest, on the other hand, have got a few injury problems. They've got Nick Budgeon, who's got an ankle injury, but he is going to play. And basically, they are really, I think, going to be a bit undermanned today with the strong Derwent team. Eddie Ockenden isn't going to be playing, as far as we know. Apparently, there was an arrangement between the two coaches before today, and it was decided that both Olympians wouldn't be playing. However, I think things have changed, and it looks like that we will get the opportunity to see Matthew play, which is pretty exciting for the Tasmanian public.
Thanks very much, Angie.
That they spoke about prior, but it's just disappointing that unfortunately Eddie can't get out there as well, because he's such a great player, and there's probably more people here today because they wanted to see him, and maybe unfortunately for him he's on the flip side of an agreement that may not have worked out to his advantage as well. But anyway, it doesn't matter, and should be a exciting game, and you would have thought that Matthew Wells, with his experience, that he's going to set up the team pretty well for both defensively and offensively, and it's going to make the job all that much harder for someone like a Marcus Richardson. But you never know. Matthew Wells might find today that he hasn't played hockey, he hasn't picked up a stick for nearly 8 or so days now, and he might be just that little bit rusty, and might have still some lactic acid in his body, which will make it a bit harder for him. But at this stage, you'd say he'll make he could make a big difference.
That's right. He has been so influential at the back for Australia for so many years. So you can imagine that he'd only have a positive influence on this game, as we see the Derwent squad there just in a huddle.
Martin, I think it's important that we do remind all the viewers that what are we seeing today? What we're seeing today is a semi-final where whoever wins this goes straight into the grand final. So there's one thing we can be assured of, and that is that the team, each player on the field at the moment, will be giving 100% of the maximal effort. That's right.
As we mentioned in the opener this afternoon, there is a second chance for both of these teams. So the winner goes straight through to the grand final. They have a week off next week, and the loser will end up playing OHA, who disposed of University earlier today. So really a lot on the line as we see play get underway this afternoon. With it to start with is Tremaine. He goes back straight away to Addison. Addison assessing his options early. Nice little 1-2 between Addison and Tremaine. A lob over the top. So Derwent looking to control things early on. It's with Tim Deven. He's heading down that sideline, but he may have been brought down, Macca.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Nick Budgeon's going to pay pretty close attention to Tim Deven. You would have thought that Northwest grads would have done their homework, and they'd know that Nick Tremaine in particular and Tim Deven, when they get the ball, go forward, and Jeffrey Cox, they've got to make sure they close them down as quickly as possible.
So Addison moving the ball forward. Tremaine has it. He's got possession right on halfway. Flicks it forward. It's with Wells. Wells sends it forward now. It's inside the attacking quarter. They've just gone out of... No, it's inside the circle. There's a real opportunity here. And there's a goal straight away. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, well, James Newbold along the baseline, and I think he's just basically caught the defence off guard. He's been able to slip the ball in behind. So good vision here. You would have seen his vision. Good right to left drag. It's nice and composed. Got the ball off the ground now. Dougal Middleton helps it in behind. James Newbold goes, geez, here's all the Christmas presents at one time. And the ball spills in behind Hamish McGregor. It's almost as if there was a bit of a mix-up between Tim Stevens and Hamish McGregor, and really it just presented a wonderful opportunity to James Newbold, and he capitalised.
So Northwest first possession, they're already down 1 goal. Richardson, he moves pretty easily there. He's flicked it forward. With it is West. West couldn't quite get there.
Well, that man Newbold scores a goal at the other end and then does some work defensively. That's an indicator of how aerobically you have to have pretty good engines nowadays to be able to play hockey at the top level.
So Northwest grads looking to play it on nice and quickly here, but Billy Shaw probably will dispose of this. He gets it away. Nice little clearing ball there.
Well, this is what I think is really beneficial for someone like Billy Shaw on screen at the moment. He's the one that can really benefit from having Matthew Wells alongside him. He has had 1 year in the AHL, but anytime he gets an opportunity to play alongside Matthew Wells, he's going to be hopefully like a sponge and just absorb as much as he can about how to play this game at the top level.
So Stevens has possession. He sends it forward. Looking to trap it was Burke, but he couldn't quite get there. Burke may have started, I think.
That's right.
So Wells now looking to restart this formidable Derwent outfit. Ball didn't really go to anywhere, so Park has it. He sends it inside the circle. Shot will get away by Richardson, but it's into the side of the net.
Well, that was a fantastic little ghost lead there from Marcus Richardson. Prior to him receiving that ball, he drifted off Alistair Addison, and that's something that Alistair Addison will have to be careful of. What we don't see now is that little ghost lead, which he's already done. He's got himself into a position where he's been able to receive that ball, and Alistair Addison wasn't aware of Marcus Richardson drifting in behind him. If he's not careful, Alistair Addison, he will pay a big price, because Marcus Richardson, when he ghosts like that, it's an indicator that he's in form.
So perhaps Richardson looking better than we thought he may, carrying that slight knee niggle. But we'll see Northwest Grads reloading here.
Good to see some pace then from Aaron Jacobson. He can be toey when he really puts his foot on the accelerator.
So there it is inside the circle. It looks like it may have found a foot.
Yep, penalty corner off Billy Shaw. Billy Shaw, I think he got caught unsighted. But the important thing as a defender there, whenever you're in that situation, you need to be making sure that you're down nice and low. And I think he knows by the look on his face that really he probably has broken one of the golden rules of a defender. As a defender, see, his stick wasn't even down low. His stick he's quite upright. And in that situation, he's been caught off guard by a quickly taken free hit. And it's found his foot. So great opportunity now for Northwest Grads.
So he'll be chastising himself for that effort, no doubt, early on. 4 minutes gone.
You can see the strapping on the left knee too of Marcus Richardson.
So Richardson sends it in. The setup's there. Budgeon perhaps was ghosting to get it through, but the setup didn't really work for Northwest Grads there.
It's good work from Jeffrey Cock though. He got in there and made sure that he secured possession of the ball and then released it safely.
So semi-final time, and it's 1-0 to Derwent. 4.5 minutes gone. Taking this will be Matthew Wells, triple Olympian. He gets it back underway with a nice pass across field, changing the point of attack to Billy Shaw. Billy with a miss hit though, it's going to be picked up nicely. Warren Lucas has it now. He's gone back into midfield to Park. Park knocks it forward to Richardson. Richardson and Park combining there. Getting in the way was Deven. It'll be blown up, but Northwest Grads will stay on the attack with Park. So better signs there from Northwest Grads.
Yeah, and I think they're starting to get a bit of midfield control at the moment. And they're pushing their players forward as well. Benny Florence now at left half.
Florence goes inside the circle. Trouble now. Lucas has the possession. He's got the shot away, and that was centimetres away from being an equaliser.
Well, it was, and I think it caught Nathan Fitzpatrick, the goalkeeper, off guard, because I don't think he was expecting that Alistair Addison would give him so much space. When you look at that tackle there from Alistair Addison, that's hardly enough. And you had, I think it was Richard Headlam on the far post, ready for that deflection. How he missed it, I don't know, but again, he may have been unsighted. So good signs here at the moment for Northwest Grads. They're definitely still in this game.
There he is, Fitzpatrick, with all the work to do since that opening goal. Toss there from Addison, trying to relieve the pressure a bit. Florence has it now. He sends it infield to Lucas. Lucas, his shot was deflected, so Deven with it now. That's Middleton, rather. Middleton gets around a couple of defenders.
Yeah, well, that was basically poor marking there from James Peters. He was on the wrong side of Dougal Middleton when he initially received it. Had he been in field, that wouldn't have happened.
So the ball's inside the circle there. A number of players around the ball.
Yeah,
Nick Budgeon not happy.
Yeah, and geez, he's a big man too. Wouldn't like him staring at me like that. But the good thing about Sean Carey is that he's the umpire and he's got some cards in his pocket. And he's just given one to James Peters, and he said, "I'll have none of that, thanks very much." And you can just see there, he's just got it underneath his. Once it gets underneath his stick, that's where he's obstructing. And so the decision made by Sean Carey is the correct one. And whilst Nick Budgeon might be happy about it, he has to be careful about who he directs his frustration at in that situation. And really, Sean Carey did the right thing and probably gave him a green card.
Told him to calm down a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's normally what happens in finals. You normally find it in the first 15 minutes or so of a semi-final, and then towards the last 15 minutes, that's when the tension really starts to rise.
So a lot riding on this. You can see the Northwest Grads players did put on their face masks there. Good to see. Safe practice. So Derwent, the ball's come in from Tremaine. The shot's away by Jeffrey Cock, and he's got the second. Derwent are up 2-0.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Just his technique. I mean, he's a guy, as we've said earlier today, has scored 56 goals. Now, that's a goal that's gone past, I might add. A goalkeeper who's now in the national junior squad, Hamish McGregor. And so he's really at the top of his trade here, and he just has not been able to get to it quick enough. And interesting also with Northwest Grads, they had 2 players behind Hamish McGregor there, so they're really conscious of the flick and the dangers that Jeffrey Cock presents to them. So, well done, Jeffrey Cock, and Hamish McGregor, well, you're going to have to be at your best today, son.
So Northwest Grads with all the work to do. Coming forward now, Derwent. It's been turned over. Picking it up there is West. West and Lucas. Lucas to play it on here. He sends it back to Florence. Florence goes forward. Nice little ball. It's been picked up by Richardson. Richardson goes back. Ingles will get it away though. Attempted to get it to Jeffrey Cock, but just a mistrap there. So Park sends it back to Budgeon. Big Nick Budgeon.
Ooh, big tackle there from Jeffrey Cock. You'd want to be careful doing that.
Looked a bit risky there.
Yeah, and that's the type of tackle I've really been harsh on Tim Deevan about. Spoke to him during the week and said that he must improve in that area because you just can't afford to make those sorts of tackles in international games, in particular club finals as well, and that's where you get cards.
A game this important, you really don't want to be giving away any silly penalties.
Oh, good little clearance there from Matthew Wells. Can you see that? I mean, that's a 75-yard pass straight along the sideline, finding a player high. It's just unbelievable skill.
So Derwent have flicked it on, and Jeffrey Cock has it in the midfield here. He's going a long way home, though.
Well, the thing I like about Jeffrey Cock is he's prepared to run on angles. And what it does there is he runs across an angle, and so neither defender for Northwest Grads knows who to present to him.
So Derwent, real opportunity here. They could get home a triple goal advantage, but the ball's gone out over the back line there. So
Luke Austin on screen. They missed that man over the last couple of weeks when he's been injured. No doubt he's giving them a bit more bite up front.
So Budgeon is with it. He'll change the point of attack. Northwest Grads nicely left. Picking it up is Lucas in midfield. He sends it forward. Nice little deflection on there. Richardson's got the ball. He's just about to. He sends it inside the circle, but it'll go out the other side. And picking it up will be Jacobson. So he can come back. Headlam now under a lot of pressure there from 2 Derwent players. They double teamed him, and in the end, numbers prevailed. So a loose ball. The Derwent players. It's a foot race. In the end, it will be Hamish McGregor who lets it go out over the back line. Just watching it there.
Yeah, a bit of a foot race there between Jeffrey Cock and Tim Stevens initially, but Hamish McGregor off his line again quickly. So important that goalkeepers are able to read the play. If you can't read the play, you miss those sort of opportunities to get off your line quickly. You can hear him barking out the calls there a minute ago to his defenders, getting them in the right place.
Deevan attempted to send it in there, but a wild ball. Luke Austin on screen there. It's a loose pill.
Yeah, loose receiving there from Michael Park. He's complaining about the attention he's getting from Nick Tremaine. Nick Tremaine gives him a little smile back saying, well, you're sending 2 players to me every time I get it, so get over it.
Good to see such sportsman-like behaviour.
Yeah, well, it's good. I quite like to see the animation between Michael Park and Nick Tremaine. It's quite a highlight for me.
Austin picking it up, nice little flick on. He was looking for his man in Newbold, I think it was, but Richardson flicks it back for Northwest Grads now. Park using his body.
Yeah, good strength there from Tim Deevan as well. Michael Park is again a very physical player.
So a nice pass forward there.
James Burke couldn't quite control it.
So Northwest Grads are on the attack. Picking it up there is West. The ball's come away, and then we'll just see it trickle out into the corner there. So a bit of pressure relieved for Derwent. But the team under pressure really is Northwest Grads. Down 2-0 this early on in the piece. They wouldn't be happy about that. How do they get back into it, Macca?
Well, I think in some regards at the moment, the area they're falling down is what we've seen like Michael Park, where they're just not controlling the ball well enough. And so if you can't generate possession through midfield, it's very difficult to set up your forwards inside the attacking 30. And so at this point in time, they just need to harden up the way they're receiving the ball. And they probably are a little bit narrow still at times.
Newbold sends it back to Wells. Wells back to Tremaine.
So this is where I'm talking before about whether or not, oh, here comes a really good opportunity for Northwest Grads. Warren Lucas can't quite control. But what I was going to say, Martin, was that that's an example of how really, I think in some regards there, you just saw Matthew Wells still feeling the effects of coming back from Beijing. I mean, had that have been an Olympic final or an Olympic semi-final, he would have sprinted to that situation to make sure he secured it. Whereas just a minute ago, we saw him, he was quite passive about it. And that's where it gives the advantage to people like Marcus Richardson. You see the ball deflects, and it finds the foot, I think, of Nick Tremaine. And that's why the umpire Ollie Close has awarded a penalty corner opportunity here for Northwest Grads. You'd think it'd probably be Toby West. He's probably got a fraction more power at the moment than Nick Budgeon.
Budgeon, as we mentioned, carrying a slight injury. So Richardson descended in.
Go!
Here it comes. Budgeon takes a shot and he's got the goal. So Nick Budgeon.
Yeah, he's the one who converted it, but I think the one that's going to feel pretty disappointed about it is Nick Tremaine. We might see another shot of this where it just goes straight to now. Imagine if you're Nick Tremaine right now. The ball goes whoop, right through the hay-diddle middle. And so poor old Nick Tremaine hasn't been able to protect it there, and it's what the game needed right now. You can see how his stance is. And again, he was probably blindsided by the person running out. It's a very difficult position to be in that situation because you just sometimes can't see the ball coming at you.
So that makes it interesting.
Okay, that free hit was blown against Derwent there because the sticks were received. He received the ball above his shoulder. I think it was Calvert. Not allowed to do that in sport of hockey. Can't have your stick above the shoulder when you're receiving the ball.
Sent away by Stevens to Lucas. Lucas goes back to Stevens. Stevens sends it through. West got a stick to it. Yeah, he gets it back.
And that's what I'm talking about, the thing that Northwest Grads have got to do better. They've got to be able to secure possession in that situation. It's the difference at the moment between the two teams.
So real opportunity here for Derwent. It's inside the attacking 30. Deven sends it across. It's come back by Tremaine. Over to Addison. Addison inside the attacking half. He's got his head up. He's looking around. He's got plenty of time. Not really a great deal of pressure on him. That ball should have been picked up there by Jacobson.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm entirely happy with the structure of Derwent in this situation because basically they've got back four and what they should be doing is working to a back three where they've got a triangle when they're outletting the ball around the back. I mean, you've got Tremaine there and you've got Addison right next to him. Addison can afford to get right up the pitch now. So I don't understand why he's staying back that far. There's no need for him to do so. So Addison right now should be drifting all the way to the sideline here and get up the park. See that space in front of him?
I think he heard you, Macca. I think he heard you. He's gone forward, Addison. He's inside the attacking 30. He goes down the side, but it's gone out over the back line. So,
well, what it does is it means that Northwest Grads can block it, and they end up just passing the ball around the background. What needs to happen is Addison needs to penetrate in behind the front line of Northwest Grads.
West knocks it forward. It's been blown up. Richardson
wanting advantage there.
So Florence will take it. Florence and West. West sends it back. Stevens now. Park. Back to Budgeon. Big Nick Budgeon goes across to that far side.
Good trap by Peters.
Peters, well done.
Yeah, good little bit of body bump there from Tim Deven, just letting Jacobson know that he's about.
Sent forward, nicely trapped there by West. Florence will keep it in, but Billy Shaw's going to pinch it off him. So Billy Shaw showing nice skills there, but Florence is going to pinch it off him. So there you go. A couple of the younger players saying anything you can do, I can do better.
Oh, geez, they think that was pretty close to a penalty corner then.
It's on Jacobson, so Burke is in there now.
The foot tackle there from Tim Deven. It's almost as if his foot just... sorry, my foot was in the wrong position, but I think there was an element of just purpose about that movement.
Ball's inside the circle. Over there is Jacobson, but it'll go out over the sideline, so Jacobson will bring it back in. He's got a couple of options short. He uses one. It's back inside the circle now, but it's going to go out again, so it'll be a Derwent ball.
We've got a pretty good crowd here today, Martin, and I think it's an example of people recognising that these are two very good teams. We should remember that Derwent this year are going for their third straight grand final, a premiership in a row, if they were to win the grand final. So they've got a lot of support, as have Northwest grads.
Alicia will be keen to move this on quickly. Goes backwards to Wells. Wells just stopping on a dime there. Jeffrey Cock gets through a couple, gets the penalty blown against him. So,
and what you can see, Martin, is that Matthew Wells was actually just talking then to Alistair Addison, saying, listen, mate, we haven't got the right structure. And I think what he's trying to do is to encourage them to go forward. There's no need for him to be holding hands with Wellsy at the back there. It's almost as if they've got too much cover, Northwest grads, and it's playing into the hands of Northwest grads.
So a ball sent across the face of goal, and it's gone in, but that won't be a goal.
Yeah, it wasn't a goal because Marcus Richardson didn't get a touch on it inside the attacking circle.
So Derwent sends it forward through Luke Austin. Running onto it will be Middleton. Bit of space. The defence is flighting back now. Middleton goes inside. He went straight to Webb, but they didn't finish it off, really.
Yeah, I think Nick Budgeon there in that situation, he's too passive. He's got to get out there and try and threaten Dougal Middleton at the same time. So he can do that gradually by gradually crouching into him, but sitting back and just sort of holding a line is not good enough.
West and Shaw. So penetrations, Derwent are behind Northwest graduates at the moment. 8 penetrations to 5. Jeffrey Cock, a man that we've seen go forward so many times.
Yeah, but I think what we've seen all throughout the year is that Derwent only need a few opportunities and they're going to have a better percentage of converting those into goals than most other teams. I mean, again, as we look at penalty corners throughout the year, if we had that stat, I'm sure they would be the team that's miles above anyone from the point of view of conversions from penalty corners. Why? Because they've got Jeffrey Cock in their team.
Austin sends it forward to Middleton. Middleton was streaming forward there, but it was well done by Stevens in the end to show great desperation. Down on his guts, as you like to say, Macca.
Yeah, on his belly.
So Austin will try and run onto it. He had a bit of help there from Sam Calvert. Austin, he'll get away with that, but under a fair bit of pressure there from Lucas. Lucas showing good body strength. Sent inside, so Calvert now, but in the end he didn't trap it.
Yeah, there was 2 untidy controls there from Calvert. I think that would worry Glenn Freeman, the coach of Derwent, a little bit.
Florence sent it forward. It's been picked up there, though, by Newbold. Newbold gets it out. Bit of breathing space.
Yeah, I think this game's very tight at the moment. It's the little things that matter. It's the little sort of mistakes that you make. It's the poor passing. It's those sorts of things. They could be the big difference to today's result.
Lucas, Florence. Nice little 1-2. It's come back to Webb. Webb. Oh, it wasn't Webb, it was Stevens, rather. Budgeon now. Burke got a stick on it.
Well, Derwent continue to experiment. They've now sent Nick Tremaine up into the centre striker role. I can't see him on screen at the moment, but he's way up the other end at the moment.
Well, sends it forward with a nice little ball there. So Jeffrey Cock will go on an attacking foray. Nice little flick back inside. He's got a couple to beat. He's inside the circle, can get the shot away. But a great save there from McGregor. Well done. So that was a nice little passage of play there, Macca.
Well, it certainly was, because we saw Nick Tremaine actually drift off his opponent and get himself in a situation where he put the defender into 2 minds. Should I go at Jeffrey Cock and should I stay with Nick Tremaine? Either way, I'm in a 2-on-1 situation. I'm outnumbered, and really the thing to do there in that situation, the rule is go to the most dangerous. Who was the most dangerous? Jeffrey Cock was. So you had to leave Nick Tremaine and get to him, and I think really they were a little bit undecided as to what to do.
Probably a little bit late in getting to Cock because he did get the shot away. It was a nice save by McGregor.
Yeah, I think it was, and we shouldn't forget that it was a good save, and he came off his line, closed down the angle as quick as he could.
So Webb, Austin. With the imbalance in free hits there. 19 to Northwest grabs. Derwent just the 6. Does Derwent go on another attacking raid? The ball trickles out over the back line. Austin there.
Well, I think both umpires that are umpiring today are very good umpires. Sean Carey, Oliver Close. They have a very good feel for the game. They've got a lot of experience. Both of them played AHL. They've both been part of the team in 2006 that were got a silver medal in the AHL. So they're very good umpires.
Ball sent to Devon. Stephen doing his best, does nicely, gets around a couple of defenders there, flicks it back on the inside. Inglis was there, but I don't think he was quite with Stephen on that occasion. And it caught a foot.
Well, I think what we just saw there, that's the sort of skill that Tim Deven has, and he would do that against any AHL defender as well, and his ability to be able to change direction quickly, use what we call 3D skills is what some coaches talk about. I'm not sure that I like that term, but basically it's getting the ball off the ground and put it into the air. When you've got that skill and that speed, really it makes you very dangerous. It's not too dissimilar to what Eddie Ockenden does on a regular basis, and Tim Deven has a bit of that in him as well. Both the Northwest Grads defenders at the moment are putting on all their defensive gear. You'll notice that some of them are wearing gloves, some of them are wearing masks. And the obvious reason for doing that is to protect yourself from being hit by a ball. The number one runner out will wear a glove on his right hand.
Ball comes in from Tremaine. It'll be Cock to take it, and it's a nice little 1-2 set up there, but the ball doesn't quite go in. So it was well shut down.
Yeah, good variation just to mix it up a little bit. And so they've just thrown it back to Nick Tremaine there, who's looking to try and get the deflection, but Hamish McGregor, he read it well and he was quick to get down low. He needed to be, because the ball in that situation has to go below backboard height.
I've got to say, Macca, that those face masks, they've got a bit of Hannibal Lecter about them.
They have. You should see some of the ones that the other boys like to use. They actually put little paint singles on them and all. It's quite daunting.
Not the sort of thing you really want to be looking at when you're attempting a penalty corner.
Well, it's not the sort of thing you want to look at when you're a coach and you're berating the player in front of you and he's wearing one of those. You think, hang on, I could be in trouble. Where's the chainsaw?
Yeah, that's right. Wells sends it forward. Nice ball, but no one gets a stick to it.
I might add, Martin, that I never berate any player. I always speak well to my players. Not my players, I hate that term as well. The players that I coach, should I say. I'm getting myself in trouble. I'm going to get off air.
You might have to backpedal a bit as we see Richardson tangling there with Wells. Now, I'm sure you're a very fine coach, Macca. So Burke sends it across the field to Peters. Peters gets it back inside.
Oh, good strength from Warren Lucas. Again, the ability to be able to run on angles, protect the ball, absorb all the tackles. Had about 2 or 3 in a row there. He's very strong on the ball, Warren Lucas.
Burke sends it inside the circle. With it is Park. It's going to fall out though, so...
Well, it was a beautiful little disguised pass, I think it was, from James Burke, and did the look away where they just slide the stick across the ball and it goes on a different angle, and it's very hard for defenders to pick it up. There it is there. There's the action. He looks one way, but the ball goes the other way. It's received. Tight little receive there, and the tackle in between the legs, I think it was, from Alistair Addison. You're not allowed to tackle in between the legs, and I think that's the reason why umpire Ollie Close is awarded a penalty corner opportunity now to Northwest Grads.
So it was Headlam inside the circle there, in actual fact. We'll see Richardson send this penalty corner shot in. There's the Northwest Grads players lined up. Richardson. Ball comes in, trapped nicely, Budgeon to take it, shots away.
Good save.
A save. I think that's come off the stick from Fitzpatrick.
Yep, fantastic save that was from Nathan Fitzpatrick. Again, we should also note that this is an important game for both goalkeepers as well, because they're both in a situation where they're going to be fighting for a spot in the AHL next year. And I think we saw from that view that the ball actually came off the post, or it may well have been saved by Jeffrey Cock off his stick. So I don't think Nathan Fitzpatrick actually got to it, but very important game here for both goalkeepers.
That's right. So either way, the ball didn't go in and the score remains at 2-1.
Yeah, 10 yards there. James Burke making the intercept. Only allowed to be, can't be within 5 yards. Matthew Wells reminding him there.
Wells comes across the field. He'll go to Webb. Webb gets around Park there. Sent forward by Shaw. Austin was the intended target. So Park with it now. It's sent across to Jacobson. Jacobson goes down the line. It'll go inside, but it'll be intercepted. So Shaw with it now for Derwent. And he clears it away. So a couple of passes not finding their mark there.
Now, the game's just sort of lulled a little bit at the moment. I think Derwent in some regards. We can see Eddie Ockenden on screen here supporting Northwest Grads.
Barking a few instructions from the bench, no doubt. Plenty of experience that he's picked up in the last couple of months.
Good speed again there from Tim Deven. But he'll find it pretty hard to get past Warren Lucas. Warren Lucas is equally well equipped when it comes to speed.
We've spoken about Deven a number of times this season. He's one of those players that can produce something from nothing. Wells sends it forward now.
Good trap there from James Peters.
Wells with it now. He's going on an attacking four over his own. Good stick skills from him. So setting it up for the attack. Nice little drag across there. It was good to see.
I think Marcus Richardson will be reminding Matthew Wells about that one later on after the game. Tried to take me on. You're not good enough.
Northwest Grads now. Ball comes across to Burke. It'll fall nicely for Tremaine. Tremaine goes to the wing and goes to Jeffrey Cock.
Ball.
Good, nice ball to Middleton. Middleton.
It was a good ball, but it didn't have the quality about it. It's difficult to receive at Dougal Middleton's end.
Florence. Perhaps giving his team a bit of breathing space. So there's some of the crowd that we've seen. There's quite a number of people here this afternoon. One of the biggest crowds we've seen this season for 1 versus 2, the second semi-final. Back on the field, Billy Shaw. He attempts to go around Richardson, but doesn't do it. Nice ball from Richardson, so the shot will get away, but it won't. It will be saved by Fitzpatrick.
It's a good save there from Nathan Fitzpatrick. So we see Eddie Oppenin and Stephen McMullen looking on. Great work from Richard Headlam because he received the ball in quite a difficult angle to get the reverse shot away. He still did. He got it on target.
Wells did well there. Got to stick to it inside the circle and got it away. It's been picked up by Budgeon. Budgeon sends it across field, and that's gone down the line and out over the back line.
Well, that's what we've seen so far. We've seen a lot of penetrations for Northwest Grads being received in behind the Derwent defence, and so probably that's an area that Coach Glenn Freeman would be looking at his team and saying, look, we need to be a bit stronger with our marking and have a bit more awareness about the movement in behind. Nathan Fitzpatrick, he's going to take some responsibility for that as well as the keeper.
7 to 12 penetrations in favour of Northwest Grads. Matthew Wells restarting things straight away to Webb. Florence got to stick to the ball and lets it go out, so Shaw will restart proceedings. James Burke looking on. Shaw goes back to the safety of the Australian representative playing out here this afternoon. He doesn't do his country proud with that pass, so Northwest Grads on the attack now. It looks like Headlam. Headlam's inside the circle. Fitzpatrick's come out. I think he saved that with his head.
Yeah, it was good desperation there from both Headlam and Nathan Fitzpatrick, the goalkeeper, because you can see that the drag, and there's the tackle, good strength. He gets another one from behind, and he realises now, I've got to dive at it, but just a good save in the end there from Nathan Fitzpatrick. Had he have sat back, he may well have conceded a goal then. So good goalkeeping.
Park combining with Florence.
You can just sense that the tempo's picked up again for Northwest Grads.
It's good stuff. Florence and Richardson there. Richardson with it now. He'll get a free. Northwest Grads still on the attack. There's Matthew Wells barking instructions, no doubt using all of his years of experience. Nice little 1-2 there, and they found another foot, so at that time it was off Webb. Northwest Grads making centimetres at a time here. Burke and Park. Headlam sends it in.
You can't underestimate the value of Warren Lucas. You know, he just darts himself into a pocket of space, he gets it, and then he does the right thing. The right thing being, let's try and see if we can get a penalty corner, and just the position of where he receives it, and now he's got the awareness of, yep, I can tell straight away with my vision that that foot's uncovered, and I'm going to pick it up. And Luke Austin was the one that he exposed.
Austin was down on his haunches there, so it would have been hard to get out of the way of anything.
He was down low, but he was protecting his four-stick side, not so much his left foot. See the strapping there on Marcus Richardson's knee. Doesn't seem to have had too many ill effects from that.
So Richardson sends it in. His trap's going to be Budgeon again, and he's made the goal. So So there you go.
Well, will we see Eddie Ockenden come on in the second half? Maybe they're just, Martin, maybe they're just sort of saying to you, look, we won't play you in the first half. We don't need to, because we've got people like Nick Budgeon who can flick the ball really well. And he's put it the same spot. He's actually had, look at the technique of Nathan Fitzpatrick. He goes down on his right knee. Now, if he goes down on his right knee, there's no way known he can get his left hand up to that one up high. So, really, I think he's been fooled by the technique of Nick Budgeon and the power. So, well, isn't this fantastic? 2-2.
So things all tied up here. And as Macca just mentioned before, the intensity really seems to have picked up here. As we see the ball sent forward there by Wells. Good work inside the circle. Plenty of strength shown there by West.
Yeah, and the important thing there was the quality of his tackling, because if he made a poor tackle there inside the defensive circle, he would have conceded a penalty corner, even potentially a stroke. So he had to be very, very vigilant with his care there.
Ball falls loose, but McGregor will boot it away. Webb. Wells.
Just to interrupt for a minute,
Ange.
I do know that Eddie has gone home to get his gear. Has been collected for him, so it is possible that he may come out in the second half.
Well, Ange, can I suggest one thing? Get him to warm up in his jeans, because at least then there's only a quick changeover and he's back on the park. Because at the moment he's still in his jeans.
Yes, I'm not sure. There seems to be the Northwest camp is pretty crabby, so I'm not sure what the final decision will be. They're doing pretty well without him, so maybe they'll keep it that way. I'm not sure yet.
Well, there you have it. We could have 2 Australian representatives out here this afternoon. Thanks very much, Angie.
Well, I certainly hope so, Martin, because I think it'd be great to see Eddie Ockenden, because not many people will see him for a while now, because he'll be away in Holland and he'll be unavailable next year. As we see another penalty corner now for Derwent.
Ockenden's picked up a contract with the Dutch club Lorraine, so that's why we won't see him. Interestingly enough, his coach over there will be Roland Altmans, and he is Macca.
Well, he's the Dutch Olympic coach, so pretty sure you'll be pretty keen to have Eddie Ockenden with the surname of Ockenden. You might think that he might change his passport. Good luck, mate. He's ours. We're not letting go.
No, heavens no. We'll hang on to him for as long as we can. We've got a few years left in him yet too, so he's only young.
All right, here we go. Derwent. They need this one.
You can see Addison there. Head up. Tremaine sends the ball in his trap well. Jeffrey Cock to take it, and it's wide.
Well, good technique from Tim Stevens. I know that he did some work with Stephen McMullen over the last couple of weeks, because they've been so conscious about the power and the threat of Jeffrey Cock. And he's the person who's standing on the left of the goalkeeper there and with the face mask on, and his stick went up really high. It was good technique. He was aware that the ball might be going high there, and he got to it just in case it was in that vicinity.
So Tremaine tackling there with Lucas. Ball comes back to Lucas now. He's got a couple of players to beat. He sends it out to West. Gone out of play though. So Austin for Derwent. He'll leave it. Shaw sends it to Austin. Austin to Devon. Devon's been stripped of it. He's lost his stick. Richardson's trailed forward, so Headlam can get the ball to him.
Good drag.
Headlam sends it inside, but Richardson really, he wasn't there where the ball was, so makes it really difficult. You can see on the replay here, Headlam sends it back in. Richardson was there, but the ball not finding him. So West to bring it back into play uses Florence. Florence sends it inside to Budgeon. Budgeon right in front of goal. Lucas down, showing good desperation to get it inside the circle. And that's half time, so we're all wrapped up. I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
Well, it's entertaining, isn't it? It's good to see Northwest grads have got that sort of, sprightness about them. They've got that vitality about them. They haven't been worried about the fact that, they were 2-0 down at one stage and they fought themselves back into the game, and I think that's a good sign for them, because they've got that vitality, and I think now, if anything, they're going to go into the second half knowing there's not a great deal in it, whereas before the start of this game, they might have been asking some questions of themselves. Oh, Eddie's not playing, and, Budsy'd hurt his ankle, and Richardson squirted, he had damaged his knee, and so with that sort of uncertainty, now I think that doesn't mean anything anymore now, because they know that they're right in this game, and I think the next lot of play is going to be fantastic.
That's right. I mean, Derwent scored both their goals by Newbold and Cock within the first 8 minutes, so that really made things difficult for Northwest grads, and they showed plenty of courage and tenacity to get back in it, as we have a look at some of the statistics from half-time, as we said, score to opposition, fairly even, Macca.
Well, I think the one that's probably, you're right from a possession and score point of view, but when you look at penetrations, I mean, geez, of Northwest grads, as we were saying earlier, I mean, they really have picked up the style of play at the moment, and they're getting a lot of ball in behind the Derwent defence, and they've been able to have 17 penetrations to Derwent's 9, and probably the difficulty for Northwest grads is that they're not getting as many shots on goal from the amount of penetrations they get into the attacking circle.
Let's have a look at some of the highlights here. This was the first goal from Newbold. Middleton and Newbold combining there. Nice little skip under the goalkeeper. Great goal.
Well, I'm going to ask James Newbold after this game if it is his birthday, and the boys had just set up a birthday present for him, because really he couldn't have got it any easier there. But it was good skill, and this is where you can see the two-man defence there, and I think it's Michael Park on the post. It's so difficult in that situation because you just have so much time, so little time to see it. And this is the again, for poor old Nick Tremaine, he's just not been able to sight the ball well enough, and well, there's a real good chance, a real good opportunity here for our Northwest grads to sneak one from Derwent.
Let's head down now to the Derwent huddle and listen to Glenn Freeman.
They're not happy with us. Tough shit. Okay, at the end of the day, it's what we do out there, and basically focus on the simplicity of our game plan, and that's all we've got to do. But again, it focuses on all the hard work, okay, all the hard running, getting into the right position, opening up the space, using the numbers, okay, and hitting them that way. The other thing too is back here in this circle at times, we're getting back into that ball watching mode, okay, the marking back there sometimes has been atrocious, guys, okay, we've just got to pick it up. These guys, we know that a lot of their game plan focuses on us ball watching inside the circle. Okay, we've just got to get out, and all that focus is basic concentration, communication from you up to the guys up front, okay, and setting themselves up inside the circle.
There you have it. He's telling us not to watch, well, not us, but the players not to watch. Keep it simple.
Well, I think that's what we were speaking about in the first half. In the areas that have presented opportunities for Northwest grads has been when they've been able to get in behind the Derwent defenders. And I think that's pretty much what the coach, Glenn Freeman, has just said. He said, well, look, we've been guilty of ball watching, and if we continue to do so, we present further opportunities for Northwest grads in which to capitalise. So really, let's smarten up in the way we mark and the way we structure inside our defensive zones so that we don't present these opportunities. So, I think the message that Glenn Freeman was giving them there was the right one.
And as we see Stephen McMullen there for Northwest grads, he's taking a back seat at the moment, perhaps listening to some of his players. There he is, barking out some instructions. I'd imagine he'd be fairly happy with the way they got themselves involved and the way they pushed forward. We mentioned penetrations earlier on, and Derwent really, they made all their penetrations early, and then there was just a few sort of towards the second half of that first half.
Yeah, and that's a good sign for Northwest grads.
Well, let's head down now to Ange and see what McMullen did have to say.
Certainly Stephen McMullen wasn't backward in what he was saying. He was pleased with them, but he was saying his pleasure with a great deal of force. He really was impressed with their intensity. He was impressed with the way they were manning up. He wants them to continue to be very careful with their tackles. No sloshy tackles, he said. He wanted them to be cautious about that. He also didn't want them to be too intense in the circle. He wanted them to make sure that they weren't rushing when they got into the circle. They'd worked hard to get into the circle, and he said, make sure that every shot on goal counts. So look, he was pleased with them, but he was pretty forceful in the way he was talking to them as well.
Thanks very much, Angie. You can imagine both. Well, we heard evidence there from Glenn Freeman that he wasn't exactly happy, but I mean, both coaches would be relatively pleased. I mean, you can't be too disappointed if it's 2-2.
No, and I think that, when you think about Glenn Freeman, I mean, let's not forget that they're going for their third premiership in a row. And there isn't too many times that I can recall where that's been done in this competition. So, here's a real opportunity for them, for Derwent in particular, to say, right, we are one of the best teams in history. Not only just this year, but in history. And so, that's probably his approach. His approach is, well, we're going to win everything. We want to win, and we might lose a few friends, but who cares? And maybe that's the nature of sport, but... he's working very hard, Glenn Freeman, and this will be an important test now for Northwest grads. Can they maintain the ascendancy in some regards that they had for Patches in that first half?
It'll be interesting to see. I don't think there's any place for complacency out there in this second half. 2-2, Richardson there. Wonder how his knee's holding up, wonder how he's feeling. There they are, Richardson and Jeffrey Cock, two of the better centre forwards that we've got in this competition, and as we mentioned, it is such a fantastic competition.
Well, it is, and with Stuart Webb obviously now on the bench for Derwent. He did play some part in the first half, but I'm not quite sure what's wrong with him.
Budgeon sends it forward now. It'll go out over the back line though, so their intention's clear. They want to play it up this end of the park. Addison combining there with Wells. Wells sends it back to Addison. He can go for a little bit of a wander. Stops, then tosses.
A little bit of danger there with Ben Florence. Yep, umpire Ollie Close has noticed it as well. Ben Florence, when he received that ball, he actually received it with his stick above his shoulder. And now, sometimes if you do that inside the defensive 25, that'll be an automatic penalty corner. Because it's deemed as dangerous, but it's also deemed as being, well, you should have been in a better position to receive it.
There's Florence there. So, Inglis was the intended target. Shaw sends it back. It'll come back again to Wells. Wells using the width of the field. It's sent forward, it's inside the circle. Florence got to stick to it and it'll trickle out over the back line. So Derwent will stay in this attacking mode for the time being. It's sent in there. Jeffrey Cock. Yep. Clashing sticks with Budgeon.
Yeah, penalty corner. I think the ball made contact with Nick Budgeon's hand when his hand wasn't on the stick. It's not allowed. And just right here, bang. See with the hand, it is right hand, and his hand wasn't making contact with the stick, so therefore it's deemed as a breach of the rules. So a penalty corner opportunity, and a good opportunity for Derwent.
They'd be happy with this.
Well, they would early in the second half. I mean, if they can stamp the authority now, then it sort of makes it even that more difficult for Northwest Grads. Because every time they get close, Derwent then just gets in front.
So Tremaine will be the man to bring it in for Derwent. You can see he's just having a yarn. I think it might be with umpire Ollie Close over there. So Tremaine sends it in. Trapped nicely. Cock will take the shot, and it's a great save again from McGregor. He'd be happy about that.
Yeah, good aerial save there from Hamish McGregor. I think that's a lesson there for Jeffrey Cock, though. I think the message for him is don't go high, go low. And so he's gone high here, and then really that's quite an easy save for Hamish McGregor. I mean, for most keepers, that'd be a difficult one, but that's pretty easy for him. And it didn't look to me as if it was really moving with any real venom.
We've seen his reflexes. They are like lightning at times, McGregor.
Certainly need to be.
Pretty handy for a goalkeeper. So Headlam looking to push things forward for Northwest Grads. Wells will bring it back into play.
Actually, the latest on this saga is that the plot is definitely thickening. There is some doubt now as to whether Matthew is actually eligible to play, and there is some moot question as to whether Derwent will lose the points no matter what the outcome. And I think everybody's advisors are onto it. It has something to do with Matthew's his domicile being in Queensland.
Well done, Ange.
So our investigative reporter on the sideline, Ange Ockenden, trying to get to the bottom of this. Northwest Grads through Richardson. He's strolling forward. Get around Newbold. Peters. Back to Budgeon. Budgeon. Mistrap there. Stevens will run back and collect it though. He'll come forward. Nice pick up by Devon in midfield. He's got plenty of space here. He can get around Peters nicely, and it's a goal! That's fantastic stuff.
Well, it is. That's that's one for the highlights reel, that one. And fantastic positioning to receive the ball in the second line there was Tim Devon. And then he had just the composure. And he had to be pinpoint pass, but he caught both Hamish McGregor and Tim Stevens. Just as we were talking beforehand, Glenn Freeman was saying about ball watching. Well, the defence there for Northwest Grads, they're guilty of that as well. Too much time there for Tim Devon. You can't give him that much time. And great diving deflection there for Jeffrey Cock. Gee, he's really becoming one of the best strikers that we've seen in Hobart at the moment. His goal tally this year is fantastic. Let's just hope that he can convert that same form into next year's AHL, because if he does, he gives himself a real chance of being in the new national squad announced next year.
That's right. 58 goals, I think, for Jeffrey Cock this season. So Northwest Grads find themselves behind by a goal yet again. Lucas got his stick in there. Did well. Got it to Park. Park flicks it on. Lucas with it. Lucas inside the attacking 30. It'll be cleaned up though. So with it now is Middleton. Got a bit of attention there. Looks like it's coming from Peters. So Wells now sends it across to Jeffrey Cock. Jeffrey Cock will find himself with a free.
Yeah, well, I think Aaron Jacobs' intent there was just to break him down, slow him up. He did that well.
So Tremaine, he gets inside the circle, gets the ball away. It's fallen loose, picked it up. Is Middleton. It's been trapped right in front of goal there.
Got a little bit of footloose dancing there from Hamish McGregor. Had to get himself out of the way there. No doubt those footwork drills that we've been doing. That's a little movement there. Fantastic. Very nice.
It's two-step perhaps.
Dancing with the stars maybe one day. Who knows?
And the ball inside the attacking circle. Picking it up is Newbold. Errant pass there. So Northwest Grads now. Bit of traffic there. Attacking press is still on from Derwent. Comes away though for Peters. Peters sends it back in field. Nice little pass across the field. Addison picks it up. The referee has blown though. So Wells sends it forward to Cock.
Good little
Jeffrey
roll
Cock.
off.
Nice there.
Yeah, good little ability just be able to receive the ball and roll away with possession. Good tackle though from Michael Park. That is a skill that forwards have got to be able to develop. There's another one that's on the reverse. That's going the other direction.
So Lucas tangling with Deven.
Oh, good
Nice
pass.
little ball has gone. It's fallen for West. West gets inside the circle. McGregor's off his line. Fitzpatrick rather's off his line, but clearing it away is Middleton. So probably opportunity lost.
Well, that was all a little bit quick for my aging eyes, Martin. I couldn't quite work out why it was that wasn't a goal, because it looked as if it was on target. Oh, okay, so it's taken the deflection off the goalkeeper Nathan Fitzpatrick and spilled, and they've been able to get away because that was certainly being directed at the net, and it looked as if it had almost got behind Nathan Fitzpatrick, but he did get a foot to it. Very fortuitous, because it would have been in otherwise.
So Toby West flicks it on for Lucas. Nice pick up there by Wells though. So Tim Deven sends it forward. It's been trapped though.
Yeah, that was too long. He was looking to try and find Nick Tremaine, who at the other end, inside the attacking circle, is lurking in behind the opponent. So it's almost as if Nick Tremaine now is going for a little bit of a breather. He's parking himself up the other end to what we can see at the moment. And he's down there just having a bit of a break, catching his breath. Meanwhile, the rest of the players are doing the work for him. Here comes Tim Deven almost then into screen.
Peters, back to Budgeon, back to Peters. Peters goes down the line. Burke is looking for it, throws the hand up, says, "I'm not quick enough, sorry mate."
Either that or he might have been saying to him, "Listen mate, make sure it's a bit more accurate." I tended to go the other way, Martin. I tended just to say, "Listen mate, if you want me to make that lead, make sure I can get to it."
It's not Flash Gordon.
No, I was never called that either.
Rocky Balboa, perhaps.
Maybe. Matthew Wells, big test here, 2-on-1.
Deven's there, but so is West. West gets it back, and Lucas, unfortunate for him, Inglis.
Well, that was some really well-developed play there by Northwest Grads, but again, just when it really needed to be tight, it was a bit sloppy. So, good opportunity for Northwest Grads. Still very much in this game. Looking for the equaliser.
Wells sends it forward. Deven didn't quite control it.
Well, he didn't move his feet. He was a bit lazy, really, in the way that he tried to receive that. He needed to make sure. Maybe he's getting a fraction tired.
So Headlam over there, looking to create a bit of trouble for Derwent. Burke sends it inside the circle. Out the other side, though.
Well, I think that's probably the big difference at the moment between Northwest Grads and Derwent. Northwest Grads seem to be quite happy to rotate their players, especially their front forwards, whereas Derwent don't seem to be doing that as much, and maybe Tim Deven is starting to get a bit tired. we had Matthew Wells in the commentary box a few weeks ago before he went away to the Olympics, and he made the comment that he felt that Jeffrey Cox sometimes was getting tired and probably needed to be rotated. As we talk, I think there's a rotation happening with Derwent, getting ready to be made with up front.
So the ball's inside the circle. Derwent defence up to the task though.
Yeah, it was well done from Luke Austin because, at least he was down nice and low in that situation.
Budgeon across to Stevens. Stevens sends it forward long. Billy Shaw picks it up right on the edge of the circle, sends it to Inglis. Inglis, nice little drag back inside. There's plenty of attention there from West. He attempts to go down the line, but doesn't quite get there. We see some of those substitutions being made for Headlam off for Northwest grads.
I think Vaughan Bowen's gone on as well for Derwent, and they have rested, I think it might be Ingles.
So Lucas sends it across there. Looks like Florence. Combining with Peters, back to Budgeon. Budgeon sends it across field. Moving up the field is Northwest graduates.
Yeah, good little deflection attempt there from Marcus Richardson. Sometimes those little innocuous taps can find a player who's at the right receiving position. No one was there for Northwest grads then. Wellesley again barking out the orders, getting the structure. It's also good for Tim Deevan, knowing that he's going on an overseas tour, to have a fullback of Matthew Wells standing behind him, because it'll teach him about where he needs to get to receive the ball.
There's Jeffrey Cock.
He's also on that tour.
So a couple of the brightest young prospects out and around today as Burke picks it up inside the circle. He was looking for Lucas, and that would have been a prime opportunity for an equaliser.
Well, it's good work from James Newbold. He's actually had a bit of a part in today's performance, James Newbold. He has had a couple of quiet games throughout the year, but today, the time where it's most needed, he's certainly contributing.
A bit of obstruction there, but Derwent come away with it. Taken forward by Wells, who'll pick it up again. So that's Tremaine, rather.
Took the free hit quickly. But I think it's a matter of millimetres as to where it should be taken from. There it is. Unfortunately.
Addison goes across field. Wells sends it back to him. Wells has got a couple of options. He goes backwards to Tremaine. Tremaine to Wells. Nice little show and not go there by Wells. He sends it inside to Austin. Nice work. They've released play here. Heading forward is Newbold. Newbold's inside the attacking 30. Warren Lucas got his stick in the way. Good defence.
Well, the mistake there for James Newbold was he did not need to hit it. He had Vaughan Bowen in space inside the attacking circle, but he decided to hit it rather than just push it. And it takes too long sometimes to go through the hitting technique, and you miss the opportunity. And he should learn from that. Hopefully he watches this footage at some point, because really that's part of his game he needs to work on.
So Matthew Wells sends it a high ball inside the attacking 30. Slightly dangerous.
Matthew Wells wouldn't be too happy with that.
Big Nick Budgeon. Park there as well, Michael Park. Budgeon's with it now. Lucas is coming back for him. Ball falls for Burke. Burke tangling with Deaven. Deaven trying to get the better of two players there. Lucas.
Good work from Lucas.
Gets it off Sam Calvert. Lucas goes back. He's gone back to Stevens. Stevens has gone out wide.
That's an example.
Florence.
That's an example, Martin, of why it is that Warren Lucas has, won the Best and Fairest award for this competition at least twice. He's such a strong player.
That's him there now, sending the toss forward. Probably wasn't the result he was after on that occasion. Ball falls over there for Vaughan Bowen. He goes backwards. Shaw it is. Shaw uses Newbold. Newbold with acres of space. Matthew Wells. He too has got plenty of time. He's asking for players to come back. He wants a bit of he wants an option.
Well, this is the problem now for Derwent in that they're trying to develop possession, but they've got Tremaine parked up the other end. They've also got Jeffrey Cock there as well, and so there's no one in the midfield, and this is where it makes it very difficult for the defenders. Whilst sometimes it's good to possess the ball around the back, you still need to make sure you're not guilty of running people out of your midfield. Otherwise, you can't make that pass, the conduit from midfield to the attacking 30.
It's a bit difficult to go from full back to centre forward on occasions.
Yeah. Well, and what it does do is it asks the defenders to make a risky long pass, often which they get turned over from.
So Tremaine making a nice little foray down that far sideline. Austin has it now. He's going to go backwards. Uses Tremaine. Jeffrey Cock now. Back to Wells. Wells has got Newbold. So Newbold can head forward with plenty of space and time.
Yeah, that's bad play from James Newbold because he had Tim Deven on very early. As soon as he received that ball, he should have got the ball straight to Tim Deven. And James Newbold just starting to make a few errors, and quite costly ones, because that was a poor decision from James Newbold before. I think he's starting to get quite fatigued.
So Michael Park. Ball's been turned over. Northwest Graduates have it. Stone cold Nick Budgeon now. Peters sends it forward. Burke will pick it up. Right in that corner. Not a lot of space there. Working in a phone booth, I may have heard someone say once. Ball sent inside the circle. It drops, picking it up is Headlam, but the shot, I think it was Headlam. No, it was Lucas. The shot's high though.
And Sean Carey saying that the shot was taken after the whistle. Generally, players and umpires don't like for the shot to be taken if the whistle's been blown. So it's clearly been a free hit there to Derwent. The shot was taken after the whistle, so Sean Carey says take it up 10 yards.
Wells. Richardson got a stick to it. Here come Northwest Graduates.
You've got to have your wits about you in that situation where you had Matthew Wells standing over the free hit with Nick Tremaine right in front of him. I have seen it once before where the person who was right next to Matthew Wells didn't have his wits about him, and Matthew Wells went bang, and it went straight into his foot within half a yard. His teammate wasn't too happy, but he sort of said, well, mate, you've got to be aware of what's going on.
Jeez, I wouldn't like to be on the receiving end of one of those either.
No.
So Stevens for Northwest Graduates. Deven picks it up in midfield though. He's got Budgeon ahead of him. No easy task. He sends it inside the circle. The ball's fallen. Tremaine is there. It will be cleared away though by Northwest Grads.
Well, that was good decision making there from Tim Deven, because he waited until there was someone into the position to receive it inside the attacking circle, waiting for that person to present, and it did come.
So Wells and Jeffrey Cock. Jeffrey Cock goes backwards. Stuart Webb has it now. He's gone inside the circle. No stick will find it.
Yeah, that's too long. I think Derwent, if they continue to persist with that style of play, it's going to play into the hands of Northwest Grads, because you're not going to be able to get too many chances to be able to score those sorts of goals that we saw earlier with Jeffrey Cock and Tim Deven. It's a one every sort of 10 games or so. It's not going to be 3 or 4 in one game. It just doesn't happen.
Stevens now. His ball came off the stick of Tremaine by the looks of things. So Northwest Grads over the halfway mark. Richardson drags it back inside. Did well to get around Middleton. Richardson sends it inside the circle. Deven, you heard the call for Devo. Well done, mate. He picked it up inside. Addison sends it forward, but it finds a foot. Addison sends it forward yet again. Burke will pick it up, but he's almost mistrapped it. And you see a stick go flying there.
Yeah, good strength there from James Burke. Jeffrey Cock's stick went flying. Came in late from a tackle, from an acute angle as well.
Park, good desperation.
Yeah, it was.
So Jeffrey Cock will pick it up. He's got a couple to beat. Can't quite get there.
I can't see Nick Budgeon's ankle causing him too many troubles, because he was at full tilt then, trying to run down Jeffrey Cock.
You see, this is where the stick went flying. Oh no, perhaps it isn't. Northwest Grads trying to get it out. So nice work there by Tim Deven. He's pinched it off his opposite number, the other number 9 in Richard Headlam. So he gets it inside the circle, but Plenty of players back there for Northwest Grads, and they mop up.
Yeah, the supporting players there for Derwent need to be just a fraction closer, and Dougal Middleton worked himself into a position where he'd just about close enough, but not close enough, if you know what I mean, and he was just on the wrong angle. So sometimes use the term hiding leads. You're making a leap, you're actually in behind your opponent. You needed to be a bit closer.
So turnover, 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 and Richard Headlam will come away with it. Matthew Wells equal to the task. He's gone inside the attacking circle there. Nick Budgeon is there. Nathan Fitzpatrick's gone down on it, and Budgeon's earned himself a free. Penalty corner, not a stroke, but...
Well, he's done well, and it's almost like a bit of posting up there, and he's basically stolen the ball off Stuart Webb from behind, and that's probably what Derwent were complaining about initially, but good strength from Nick Budgeon. He knew that he had to make the most of that play. He used his body, used his strength, got the ball underneath Nathan Fitzpatrick. So another very good opportunity here for Northwest Grads.
Scored from 2 penalty corners already, Nick Budgeon.
Well, he's running hot at the moment. They need to make sure they convert this, because if they're able to put this ball in the net, then we're back to equal terms.
Men's second semi-final. Richardson to bring it in for Northwest Graduates. A goal here would tie us up at 3-3. Richardson sends it in, trapped there. Budgeon to take it again. He gets it away, and it's come off the hand and into the goal. So Nick Budgeon with his third.
Well, that's what I'd like to see. I think he's starting to get back to some of his best power. And, I mean, look at the size of him. He's a big lad. And he should be able, if he can flick the ball, toss the ball 75 yards, you ought to be able to flick the ball hard. And that's what we're starting to see evidence of now. And, 3-4 weeks ago, I had mentioned to him about getting more power. He just wasn't flicking it hard enough. And really a bit of deception as well. But Nathan Fitzpatrick, his left glove, he made contact with the ball, but it was really zinging. So back to equal pegging now. So I think we're in for some very entertaining, closing minutes of this game.
So a bit of urgency about Tremaine there. Even brings it back under control. Getting around his opposite number, Headlam. He sends it forward. It'll fall nice. No, it won't. Errant's tackle there.
Tackle from behind, saying that it made a stick obstruction. No point asking Sean Carey, the umpire. He's made up his mind. It's the right one.
Burke goes backwards to Budgeon. Attempting to shut down the Derwent defence, but finding a foot there was the foot of Middleton. Well done by Stevens. Stevens using Park. Stevens again. Addison got a stick to it, couldn't control it. Trouble here. Picking it up is Headlam, but getting in his way, Webb.
Needed more strength there, Richard Headlam. He should be back hard chasing now too.
Nick Budgeon picks it up in midfield, sends it forward, looking for West. Ball be quicker than both players there, both West and Shaw. So Billy Shaw and Matthew Wells bring things back in. Straight across the pitch. Leaves a bit of pressure there. Macca.
Well, he's looking to do that as often as he can, because I think it's sort of at this point in time where they've just conceded a goal. They want to push the ball up the other end and put some pressure on the Northwest Grads defence.
Peters had the same intention there, as we see Matthew Wells go on a bit of a run. He's been stripped of it though.
Well, unfortunately for Wells, you picked the wrong man. Aaron Jacobs actually is quite towy, and he's got the benefit of youth on his side as well.
Austin for Derwent. Gets inside the attacking 30.
Good tackle, good strength there from Nick Budgeon.
Austin popping it out there.
Yeah, I think Toby West has probably had a couple to spill off his stick in the last sort of 5 minutes or so. It's probably an area he needs to tighten up on.
Richardson gets us back underway, just through the top of the attacking circle there.
Well, I think the intent there was to try and get Warren Lucas away for the deflection, but I don't think he was expecting it.
So, tossed forward by Wells. Won't stay in.
He's just looking to clear it there, take the ball away from the area of danger.
Stevens. Deven got a stick to it. Fell nicely for his teammate. Deven gets it back. Nice little flick on and gets around Burke, so with it is Tremaine. Tremaine goes forward to Jeffrey Cox, showing plenty of pace, gets the shot away inside the circle, but wasn't up to it, it was wide.
I think that was, that certainly wouldn't want to be on Jeffrey Cox's highlight reel, I wouldn't have thought. They probably wouldn't have tape for it anyway, but you can just see there it makes not the best of contact with the hockey ball. But again, Hamish McGregor had to come off his line to try and defuse the angle. He did. And maybe that created the uncertainty and put Jeffrey Cock in two minds.
Wells, cross field, sent forward for Addison now. He goes across halfway. Sends it forward, great ball, finds Jeffrey Cock, it's inside the circle.
Yeah, body contact there from behind. Jeffrey Cock was the person who was in front. Sometimes you hear about in AFL football, the person in front is given the mark. Well, in that situation there, Jeffrey Cock received the ball in front, had body contact from behind. Oh, I think Nick Budge's just been hit in the face. Or maybe it was just a bit of a dive. Maybe got it underneath the chin. Just here off screen, you might see here now. Bang! Whoa! So
Ingles.
Not a very smart thing to do from Mr. Ingles. I just don't like to see things like that.
Addison takes a shot, it's come off a stick, he'll get another bite, no he won't. Ball's cleared. Picking it up is Headlam. He's got Wells to beat. Streaming back is Webb.
Take him on.
So Headlam takes his time. Doesn't want to take him
That's
on.
what Wells is reminding him too. He's saying to him, mate, I'm a bit older than you. Come on, have a go at me.
Lucas attempting to get it inside the circle, does it. Inglis will clear it away though. Sent away by Webb. Attempting to pick it up. Middleton. Park sends it across now to Burke. It's inside the circle. No, it isn't. Wells gets it away. Nice little ball back on the inside. Finds Tremaine. Tremaine attempting to get around Park and Jacobson. Gets the free.
Well, we could be looking for extra time, Martin. I mean, I know it's still a long way to go, but if we do go to extra time, it'll be 2 lots of 6 minutes. And gradually the players reduce in numbers.
Opens play up considerably when that happens. So Webb sending it back to Shaw. Shaw using Tremaine. Tremaine's over halfway. Trying to get around Jacobson. Falls fortuitously for Wells. Wells, nice skills. He's inside the attacking 30. Gets it inside the circle. And there you have it. The goal from Middleton. It is in the end.
Well, maybe we don't have to worry about that golden goal in that period of extra time because of good skill here from Matthew Wells. Good vision. Look how he carries the ball. And he had Ingles lurking in behind him, but Dougal Middleton also had drifted in behind his opponent. He got himself into a space, and you can see Tim Stevens, the Northwest Grads defender, streaming back, but he just couldn't get there in time. So good utilisation there of depth by the attacking forwards for Derwent. Creates that opportunity, and it catches the Northwest Grads defenders off guard. But beautifully well built there from Matthew Wells.
So Derwent 4 goals, Northwest Grads 3. It's good teamwork there. They used each other nicely.
Michael Park got one in the hamstring there, unfortunately. Bit of comedy about that. A nice little bruise in the morning, I'm sure Michael Park you'll wake up to.
Wouldn't be much fun getting out of bed in the morning.
Compliments of Matthew Wells.
So Budgeon goes short. Nice little ghost or shadow hit there, but it's still with Lucas for Northwest Grads. Now it's Headlam. He's pulled up by his opposite number in Deven. That's Tim Deven there.
Tackle from Deven, just raised the ball in the air. And deemed by umpire Sean Carey.
Peters back to Budgeon.
I think they should have taken the ball out of that dead zone then. They went back into an area where they didn't need to go to. Budgeon had time to drag across from his right to his left.
Peters losing his stick. Budgeon with it now, sends it inside the circle. There was a deflection there. I'm not sure who that came off.
It's a long corner because it came off a Derwent defender. So Northwest Grads keep possession here. This is where they need to be thinking about bringing it out now. They should be transferring the play. They've been in sometimes what we refer to as the dead zone for too long.
Peters, he's got Budgeon deep. Doesn't go that way. It goes short. It's been stripped of it. Well, Macca, you predicted it. And as we see Jeffrey Cock run away with it, No, he sort of let it get a bit too far ahead of him, I think.
Yeah, it was just a bit of body contact, and you almost sense that the umpires would think about giving Jeffrey Cock advantage there. Bit of niggle there between Michael Park, just there, and made it difficult for Nick Budge. It's not really as if he did too much wrong.
Webb sends it across to Wells. Wells shaping to go forward. It goes back. Addison.
That might have been the googly, that one.
Yeah, could have been, I think.
Bit of niggle between Jeffrey Cock. Bit going on behind the scenes there.
Tone it down, boys.
Ollie closest to spring in towards him. Yeah, this is not, you know, I sometimes expect to see this, unfortunately, in semi-finals. This is not unnatural to see. It's a semi-final. The winner of this progresses to the grand final.
A lot on the line. The Northwest Grads, they're down by 1 goal. Looking to play things inside attacking territory. Matthew Wells. Great ball. Jeffrey Cock's got the better of it. Will he get the stick to it first? He does, but it's been blown up, so...
Yeah, taking it back to where the original free hit was deemed. Ollie Close getting control of the game at this point in time.
Nice little flick back inside there for Shaw. Shot was away from Middleton. There wasn't too much on it though.
Well, it's a very, very difficult skill to be going in one direction but hit the ball in the opposite. So it was a good effort. Nigel Patmore used to be able to do that. A player who used to play for Australia many years ago. Some viewers will be able to remember his name or the skills that he had.
Tremaine's in the back inside the circle. Deven is there, but the Northwest Graduate defence is up to it, and they come flowing down the pitch now.
Oh, good ball.
Great ball.
Trap it. No.
West, it was.
And unfortunately, that's been a characteristic of the way that Toby West has played today. He's had a lot of ball, but he hasn't been able to receive it or control it to the best of his nature on a number of occasions. I think it's a good move here from the coach of Northwest Grads. What they're doing now is they're going to take Hamish McGregor off the pitch. They're already a goal down, and so now's the time to make the move. Take the goalkeeper off. Play with a with a kicking goalkeeper, if you want to call it. Generally speaking, what has to happen, I think they have to wear a different coloured shirt so the umpire knows who it is, but that's not happening at the moment.
This usually goes one of two ways. Open goal. There could be trouble for Northwest Grads, or it could reap enormous benefits.
Yeah, I think probably the area that they need to be doing it is really, if they're going to do it, then they should send someone up front, not in the defensive back half, you know what I mean? Because really what you're trying to do is convert a goal. Otherwise, if your spare player is going to still sit at the back, well, then you haven't gained anything.
So Wells picked it up nicely midfield there, sends it on to Jeffrey Cock. He gets around Budgeon, but not around West.
Well, I think what it does show is it shows us that Stephen McMullen is actually really thinking about the game and what needs to happen. I think that's a positive from a coaching point of view.
Addison, Tremaine sends it forward, came off the stick of Burke.
I'll tell you what it does do, Martin. It makes the defenders who haven't got a goalkeeper behind them be that fraction more alert, because they know if they make a mistake now, there's no one there to back them up. So it might be a bit more unnerving, but it certainly does make them think about the game and their positioning a bit more.
Michael Park there. So Derwin, with this attacking press, they're inside the circle. So they're...
Well, there's almost a goal there from Dougal Middleton. Good skill from Billy Shaw. Clever little sort of, skills. He picks the ball up and carries it on his stick over his opponent. This is where Northwest Grads have to have the armoury up front now. See, this is where they need to have the extra player. Not in the back half, but they need to have it in the front half.
So West. Budgeon. There's 4 players behind the ball for Northwest Grads as Budgeon goes backwards. Not the way they need to be going. Park now in midfield, starts things in the right direction, gets it to Burke, but Burke doesn't quite pick it up.
Yeah, and it's just those little areas that are the difference at the moment. I'd really like to see Northwest Grads now go on the full offence. They need to be parking Marcus Richardson inside the attacking circle alongside Matthew Wells, take him out of the game and really swamp any Derwent defender who gets the ball. Good tackle. Oh, I thought that was okay.
Ball flicks across for Addison. He's got a bit of space, bit of time. Goes to Middleton. Middleton goes forward, nicely done. Gets around Peters.
So what generally happens now in this situation is the team that's the goal up, they generally just keep the ball in the attacking corner and just try and waste and burn the clock as much as they can. So Tim Deeman will be in no hurry right now just to go forward, because really all he wants to do is to see the clock wind down. As soon as that's done, then we're into the grand final and we've achieved our objective. So he'll be in no hurry to go forward at the moment.
Addison has other ideas as he tries to get it inside the circle, but Northwest Grads win the free there. So they've still got a minute or so to go, Northwest Grads, to try and tie this up, send us into extra time.
Well, we shouldn't forget either, Martin, that we heard Ange Ockenden talk before about there's still some uncertainty as what the ruling is. And I'd hate for a game to be decided on, taken away from Derwent because Matthew plays. In my eyes, any national player should be able to play in the Hobart domestic competition at any time, because really it's good for our younger players. It's good for the competition. If there's been a misunderstanding between the clubs, well, that's a misunderstanding for them. But I don't know that that should really have a big impact on the game. I'd hate for that to happen. I hate for the rule to be that our national players can't play because they don't live here. I just think that's silly.
Yeah, it takes away from the game. I mean, it adds so much. It adds another element to this game, having a player of the calibre of Matthew Wells hanging around.
Well, we want our role models playing as much as they can.
I mean, the other guys play better when they're playing around him too. Everyone lifts. So in it comes. Picked up by that man Wells. Sends it to Inglis. Inglis with a... not sure what sort of shot that was, but Pudgeon picked it up, and now it's with Deven.
I must say, Martin, based on the form, and let's assume now that Derwent are going to win this one. Okay, and it's all over. They've progressed through the grand final. Based on what we've seen today, you'd still think that Northwest Grads now, at this very point in time, are the front runners to beat OHA next week in any way. And so, maybe they need one more game of playing the way that they did today, so that it makes their transition into the grand final. They're in that much better form. And you never know, maybe Derwent mightn't like the idea of having a week off, and it might impact on the way that they play. And maybe because they played Matthew Wells today, it might impact on them when they go, when they play against Northwest Grads again, or OHA.
So things not completely disastrous for Northwest Grads today. They do get another opportunity next week against OHA. OHA had a win earlier today in the first semi-final, 3-1 over University. That's it for Uni. But as we mentioned, OHA will play Northwest Grads in the preliminary final next weekend. So that's something we're very much looking forward to. But Derwent with the win today, as we see Stevens head off there for Northwest Grads. And Mackett, you'd have to imagine that Derwent would be pleased with that. I mean, they led pretty much for most of the game. Northwest Grads was playing catch-up for most of the day.
Oh, well, I think we should just... they should be very happy from the point of view that this is going to be their third grand final in a row, and they've done well to get themselves in a position where they're a chance of being to win 3 premierships in a row.
Absolutely. That remains to be seen. But let's head down now to Angie Ockenden with Matthew Wells.
Matthew, look, congratulations firstly, before we get on to this game that you've just played, congratulations on your supreme effort in Beijing, of course Athens and Sydney as well, but of course we've had the press, you are going to retire from international hockey. You've been such a great stalwart of the sport, but congratulations, and tell us about the experience in Beijing.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I suppose, first of all, thanks very much to everyone down here in Tassie, all the support I've had over the years. It's fantastic. But look, Beijing was another highlight. Just proves how hard it is to win a gold medal and how special Athens was. But to do it with 3 of your mates, Tassie mates, was even made it even more special. So it was a great experience.
Well, I mean, you played exceptionally well, I know, because I was there, and you did play very well, so full credit to you and the boys. I mean, it was a very exciting time, and I think, unfortunately, there wasn't the television coverage that you would have liked back here, but everyone was extremely interested and supportive.
No, thanks. I wish I'd have played a little bit better today. I was actually pretty happy with the form I had over there, but I was a bit embarrassed today. My so-called weapon of hitting the ball wasn't quite out there at all. I don't think I hit a flat one all day, so... but it was nice to come back and have a game at Derwent. I was a bit disappointed Eddie didn't play. I'm in a bit of strife, I think.
Never mind. I mean, it was great for the team to have you here, and they're into another grand final. It could be 3 in a row for your boys, so you got to be pleased about that.
Yeah, good luck to them. I think they're doing really well, so they've got a good little team there. Yeah. I mean, all the best to them.
Yeah, well done, and thanks for everything, Matthew. It's been a great pleasure.
Thanks guys.
Thanks very much, Angie. There you have it, full time, 4-3 in the second semi-final. What did you make of it, Macca?
Well, what I think I make of this is that Stephen McMullen, the coach of Northwest Grads, will be pretty happy, because what he's seeing at the moment is that we've made 30 penetrations, more than our opposition did, Derwent, and basically, you know, we need to get better the way we possess the ball inside the attacking 30. We spoke a minute ago about Toby West and some errors going into the front half, and I think if they can improve and keep working on that, they're a real good chance. They're a real threat at this stage to come and maybe, if they beat OHA, to get into Derwent in the grand final.
You see that lovely goal there from Jeffrey Cock. It was the Devon ball that really put him in position to set him up.
Well, you won't see too many better goals than that. And today, what we did see is that Northwest Grads are getting also better with their penalty corners. And Nick Budgeon, here we see the goal from Dougal Middleton where he drifted in behind, but Matthew Wells had to play in it. The overlapping fullback. So often you see that when the fullbacks are able to get themselves forward. And you know, it's a great opportunity to see Matthew Wells play. But well, I think we're in for some pretty tight preliminary final next week. When I watched OHA this morning, they were in very good form. They really convincingly beat University, and so for Northwest Grads, going to be a very, very important game next week.
One thing that I did notice today is that Derwent only converted one of their penalty corners. I mean, that's something they're going to have to look at.
Well, I'm sure they'll do plenty of work on that. I'm sure that Jeffrey Cock will be working pretty hard. The coach, Glenn Freeman, he'll be busy with them as well, and so you can expect that they'll be doing a lot of work on that during the next couple of weeks.
All right, that's fantastic. Let's have a look at some of the matches that we've got coming up for you next week. It's the preliminary finals. So it's the preliminary finals that we've got next week. I think it will be OHA and Derwent. That's something that we can look forward to.
Yeah, I think we've also got the women's game as well, which is going to be